Hey, I'm Will Wheaton, and I have just received a dump truck full of gold bullion to tell you to watch the Scene Snobs.
Have you and your furry best friend ever been bored? We have a cure for that. Get your subscription box with our affiliate link now.
What's going on, everybody? Welcome to Does It Suck? It's our second episode, and I'm your host, Mick Manhattan, joined as always by my partner in crime, Mr. Casey the Madman Plot.
Thank you, sir. It's a pleasure as always. And yes, we are here to break down and decide for you, does it suck?
And tonight's movie is the 1997 action-adventure movie starring Eddie Murphy and Michael Rapaport, Metro.
My very tiny image in the background for Metro. That's what it gets.
I love it.
That's what it gets. Hey, only the finest here, folks.
The premise is Roper, a hostage negotiator, catches a murderous bank robber after a blown heist. The bank robber escapes and immediately goes after the man who put him behind bars. The ending is played out with Roper and his partner McCall attempting to rescue Roper's kidnapped girlfriend. A major element in the plot is the relationship between Roper and his girlfriend. This premise was given to us by P. Wong on IMDb, and thank you for that. It misses the mark a little bit on the premise because there's like more levels to it, I think.
Yeah, there's definitely levels.
But the movie levels. There is definitely levels. But the movie came out in 1997 at a budget of $55 million. Okay. It's
That's
box
a lot
office.
Of money. Wow.
It is a lot for this. And you got to figure a lot of it was probably Eddie Murphy's cut because he was a big star at the time.
Yeah, his salary and then also all the helicopter shots because there were a lot of helicopter shots.
So many. And it only raised in the box office about $32 million. The reception for it is on Rotten Tomatoes. The film has an approval rating of 17% based on reviews from 35 critics. Roger Ebert gave the film a favorable review. He said the big action scenes are cleverly staged and Eddie Murphy is back on his game again with high energy performance and crisp dialogue. The negative review came from Stephen Holden of the New York Times, who called the film aimless and stated that the vehicular parquets and the ski jumps are so exaggerated that they correspond neither to the urban geography nor to the laws of physics. And the jiggling camera can't blur the careless mechanical stitching in a sequence that tries to make up for a length of what it lacks in inventiveness. Wow.
Whoa.
After all, when you've seen one spinning car, haven't you seen them all? And hasn't the demolition derby been staged several times before on the same streets with infinitely more pizzazz and zest for destruction? Michael Wilmington agreed, saying, if it weren't for all the jokes, the movie might be unintentionally funny. And for the most part, most of the people who made Metro, shamelessness is probably a virtue. Like a good muscle tone at the end, writer Feldman has actually dreamed up a variation on the old silent movie chestnut where the mustache twirling villain
dastardly, yes,
has the heroine tied to a sawmill plank. I'm not even sure the scene is intended humorously. The actors and the director all milk it dry, and except for Murphy's rapid fire badinage, Metro has the kind of writing that suggests a mine filled with heroines tied sawmill planks. Audience polled by CinemaScore gave the film an average grade of B+ on an A+ to F scale.
Wow.
Well, that is a mouthful on the reception.
Yeah, that's a whole lot there.
So to kind of go back, because now we're going to get into talking about the movie, I want to talk about like our first reactions. Like, when did you see this movie for the first time?
I saw this movie when we rented it. My family, we went to North Star Video in North Canaan, Connecticut, and our little video store, and snagged Metro. My stepdad wanted to watch it, and I wanted to say it was like maybe a year after it came out. Because, back in our days, it took a while for the film to get on the little VHSs to be able to send to your homes portably. So I remember just not being wowed by it. I remember it kind of being along the lines of everything else I had seen at that point. It was fine. I wouldn't call it good, but I remember watching it and remember watching it. That's about as much as I got from it. It was a family night movie that, you roll the dice and see what happens.
Okay. Well, for me, it was a little bit different. I did rent it as well when it came out. It was not one I saw in theaters. I rented it from Premiere Video and another mom and pop store that I ended up working at a couple of years later. And so I checked this movie out, and I like Eddie Murphy. I like action. I always like the Beverly Hills Cop and the 48 Hours movies. So I was like, let me give this a try. Seems like it's something new.
Right.
And this is kind of off the heels of like his controversy with picking up another woman, and
right
stuff
after
like that.
Vampire in Brooklyn and all that.
Yeah, there's a couple of stinkers with Beverly Hills Cop 3, and although Vampire in Brooklyn would be one good for this show because I love that movie.
Vampire in Brooklyn's good.
Yeah,
I don't care what anyone says. That is a good movie. I enjoy that movie. It hit at a weird time. The tone was strange for then. So, it turned into a cult classic, and I think it deserves that. Metro, on the other hand.
Metro, for me, I remember liking it when I was younger. I watched it a few times. Like, I haven't seen it in maybe 10 or 15 years.
Okay.
But I remember watching it a few times, and I think I even had it on DVD at one point. So I did like it. I thought, for me, the action was fun, and again, I liked Eddie Murphy. But rewatching it now, I will not put it in the sucks column, and we'll get to our grades later, but I will say this. I noticed a lot more than I think I was allowing myself to notice back then. So rewatching it, I was like, okay, I'm watching this with more of an analytical eye because we're doing this.
Right.
And I need to, does it actually suck or not?
Yeah, break it down. Really look at it. And I'm curious, Mick, in your opinion, after what you recall and what you remember and enjoying it, to you, does Metro suck?
Well, before we get there, I do want to point out some things. I still like the movie overall.
Okay.
I will say Eddie Murphy is a little over the top, and his character is inconsistent.
The inconsistencies with his character bugged me because it opens very serious with him making humorous lines, but done in a serious way, which I think he did very well in Beverly Hills Cop 2. We got a lot more of that. Whereas Beverly Hills Cop 1 was him being funny, and you know what I'm saying? His baseline was funny, and everything kind of came from that. In this one, he was definitely pulling from that. I'm going to be the hard ass, almost like the Damon Wayans, All of the Last Boy Scout, because that was a big popular movie a few years previous.
Yep.
So the problem with this movie is it took a lot of pieces from a lot of places. The performances were good, though, and I liked what Eddie Murphy brought. I really enjoyed Michael Rapaport's character.
He's my favorite character in it.
I think he was done very well. The girlfriend was very strange to me because she had 3 different tones. First, she was the strong, badass woman.
Yeah.
Then she was the jilted lover. And then she was the repentant lover, but also cheating on boyfriend. I don't know. That was a very strange thing.
It seemed like they didn't know what tone they wanted to take with her, and they wanted her to be wherever Eddie Murphy's character
needed to be.
Roper needed to be. Because you're right, in the beginning, he's the one that steps into this hyper crazy situation as the negotiator, saying to everybody SWAT is just they're violent, all about the violence.
Forget these violent jerks, and I got to actually go in there and give this a chance. This isn't a violent perp. Yeah, no, it had me convinced, and then he turns.
Well, before you get there, to push it even a little bit further, to see his character go from that. And even though he shoots the first guy in the hostage situation, which again, I don't know that necessarily needed to happen.
Right. It just looked cool.
It just looked cool. So I kind of let it go. But then he goes into he gets a partner, and he's they're all hotheads. They need to learn how to be cool. And when in the training sequence, when he's teaching them, he's you got to go into it. You got to have good eyes. You got to keep cool. And then he flips, and he just freaks out about everything and gets angry. Yep. And it's how is he handling this? And then he goes against protocol, he breaks laws, he does everything to go save his girlfriend. And it's but what is happening here? This isn't the character that you were telling us he was in the beginning.
Precisely. They made him change. And then I don't know if that was supposed to be a growth story or maybe a story of someone falling off of what their wagon is, however you want to look at that, because he is trading away his gambling addiction to be a better man, which just disappears.
He not only that, like it's a big thing in the beginning where
Mhm.
they're mocking him for it, and the lieutenant's going after him, you know, to the point where it's like, we're not giving you another car that you can just gamble away.
Right.
And then, you know, they even call him out on it, and then they both go. He and the partner both go to the track. They win, and it's never mentioned again.
Well, I know he mentions he's giving up sports to her. When
Oh
they're
yeah,
pitching, he
well,
does say, "I'll give up gambling," and that it's I believe it's supposed to show his commitment and how much he loves her. Like I get it, they want
yeah.
to show that the stakes are high because he actually loves her. You know, it's not just him trying to get with this woman. So it was done pretty well. I mean, the relationships were sold. I was sold. The police chief wasn't super angry over the top,
No,
which is
it dealt
helpful.
well.
Yeah.
I thought all the characters were well done.
Mhm.
Again, Michael Rapaport being my favorite, and he did. I mean,
Agreed.
Michael Rapaport, I think, gets a bad rap sometimes because he's so eccentric at times in real life.
Michael Rapaport?
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, I like him. I like listening
I
to
love
podcast
him.
stuff. He I love his sports talk especially, but
Mhm.
he can come off eccentric sometimes, like very loud. He's a New Yorker, so I mean, I get it. But in everything he's ever been in where he's acting, he's a good actor. He's a very good actor.
Agreed. And then the other one I was trying to look up here was Michael Wincott, the bad guy.
I love Michael
One of
Wincott's
my
bad guy in
favorites,
this.
man. I mean,
I did not take the dastardly mustache twirl with him.
okay, so I did in the situations they put him in.
Yes.
And the way they built him up, the same way they I think they did what's his nuts, Paul Ben Victor. They did him dirty. I don't think they got the best out of him. I don't think his interactions with most of the cast were uncomfortable.
No.
So Michael Wincott's crushing it, which I love Michael Wincott, especially from Prince of Thieves. Still one of the best.
And he just
bad
showed up in
guys ever.
Nope, so and he was very
Yeah,
good.
exactly.
In Nope,
So it's good to see him really taking on the role, and I think this is indicative of really bad writing. I think is what happened here. I think that every actor did well with the characters they were given. The problem is the writers never had a full line in how these characters were going to become. And it shows. And I you know, the director was obviously on like take 30 with some of these, take 40, take 100 with some of these moments. The action shots were cool. There was a lot of good action in this.
I thought
especially, sorry,
I
go
thought
ahead.
the car chase was fantastic.
Oh yeah, the car chase was awesome. It was one of my favorites, and especially with what it came out around the time. I mean, you've got Starship Troopers, Fifth Element, Dante's Peak, Steel. I mean,
Stop
come
naming
on.
terrible movies.
The Postman, right?
The Postman.
I mean,
Good
okay,
old
so
Tom
legit
Petty.
though, Contact came out, Good Will Hunting, and no,
No,
Fifth
some
Element's
good-
amazing. There were some good ones. There
So
were some good
Starship
ones.
Troopers. I mean, listen, we really like them.
My
Like, that's
favorite.
the thing.
Yeah.
Like, listen,
Forever.
Metro lined up to a lot of those. It's like, okay, I mean, you're Metro. We know what you are. But even walking away from them, like, would I watch this again? Yeah, I'd probably watch it again. I don't dislike it.
Fair.
I didn't hate it.
It's not a bad movie. That's the thing. It's not a bad movie. It's a lot of parts of good movies that were done poorly.
To kind of go back before we do our grades, I want to talk about the audience scores a little bit. So
Yeah.
on IMDb, it has a rating of, just set it up. Where'd you go? Oh, 5.5 out of 10.
Okay. Okay.
All right. So far, I mean, and then you go over
Okay.
to the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. It's 27%.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, and that's out of 10,000 ratings, bro.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it's really because this was the same writer and director team, I feel like, that would do the USA movies like Solo.
Yeah.
Or
I mean,
any Steven Seagal flick.
And that's the thing. I feel like Metro was one of those movies that came out around the same time you were getting like The Rock, and you were getting Con Air came out in 97.
Con Air,
like,
man.
You know, like you're getting those type of action movies that are like epic. And then I think Armageddon only came out in 98. So like those movies were being made and being put out there. So when you look at this and you're like, this is on a different level. Of course, it doesn't have those big popcorn budget. You know, $55 million for a time is a lot of money.
I mean, that's a lot of money.
But Eddie Murphy was also making $20 million a movie.
That's true. He was a huge name. And you also had around this time, I mean, this is right before Rush Hour came out, when they really started to show how to make that humorous. This had the humor of Tango and Cash, where some of the funniest parts were where they weren't trying to be funny. You know what I mean? Like that was legit. Actually, what got me.
I would kind of argue that Tango and Cash have better humor.
I will agree that Tango and Cash is a much funnier movie.
Because even Michael Rapaport's character was not a joker in this.
Yeah,
he was
he was not. He was dead serious. He played it straight and did a fantastic job, by the way.
And I thought that's what it needed. It needed a
conspiracy
match to that.
theory. When I think about this, and I realize conspiracy theory came out in the same time, the grittiness of the film felt like that. Like they felt like the exact same vibe and feel. So the fact that they were getting to that vibe and feel with it being more action and less thrillery, I think it was kind of thrillery. This way, they threw a thriller element in it by, is the bad guy in the house? He escapes prison, but where's he go? So,
which by the way was the come on, it's. Listen, I just finished Cobra Kai season 5,
right?
And there is John, and I'm gonna spoil it for anybody, but like at the end of that, John Kreese puts on a doctor's coat and walks out of the prison and escapes.
Amazing.
He walks through a door. He beeps a guy's tag and he just walks out.
I mean, this was right on par with that.
That was more realistic than
walking along the conveyor belt and then down a shaft
and then picked himself up and just went out. Like, come on.
Just went out right into a van.
It's so rough. Like, it really is it's bad.
There were some bad parts. I'm going to go out in a wire and honestly say that Barbed Wire was probably better than this.
That's a tough. You're not going to sell me on that one, but it's definitely. I mean, I can't because no, I can't join you on that one.
All right. Well,
I'm not saying
Mick,
you have your opinion. That's fine, but I can't join you on that.
I am curious to know, in your humble opinion, sir, does Metro suck?
I'm gonna give it a grade. I'm gonna give it a C-.
Oh.
Before I watched it, by memory, I probably would have given it a C+.
Okay.
So I'm giving it a C-. I'm not going to say as far as that it sucks. I'd say if you like Eddie Murphy, you like action movies, and you can suspend disbelief on some things, go for it, because it's worth watching especially for Michael Rapaport's character and Michael Wincott's character.
Yeah, Michael Wincott is definitely worth a watch on this one. So, absolutely.
Yeah.
Good. All right. Okay.
What do you got for me? What do you think?
So, if I was having this discussion and starting Metro again, I'll say in the first 15 minutes, I was ready to full on give it a C, right where I thought it landed. But this, in my opinion, Metro sucks. I give this thing a D-.
Wow. I was thinking F.
No, it did not fail. It did not fail. It is watchable. It is not so bad that I can't watch it. It didn't fill me with rage. It wasn't like the worst thing I've ever seen. It's not English Patient level shit. This was actually pretty decent. They have some weak parts. Like I said, I enjoyed the story. You can get into the story, but there's definitely, all in all, it was never fulfilling, never found its footing. And it's, if you want to watch a cheesy 90s action horror or action film that's not Steven Seagal, this is the one for you. If you're not in the mood for Glimmer Man because you're tired of that hunk of trash, watch Metro.
Oh, we should do the Glimmer Man.
I'm in.
Well, we'll figure out. We have a lot lined up, so
we do.
We're gonna get there. But guys, if you are interested and you're enjoying this, please, why don't you reach out to us? Come onto the Discord or reach out to us on social media and give us some ideas of maybe movies that failed at the box office or critics completely went and lambasted that maybe you think deserves a rewatch to kind of see how we feel. So let us know some or recommend some to us. Our first episode is out. You can go check it out on our YouTube channel. The way this works is, and it's Antitrust we did. So
Antitrust was the first one, and it was pretty solid. So go find out if we thought it sucked.
And yeah, go check that out. And then, make sure to follow us and everything. But I want to say a special thank you to our patrons who help keep the lights on, help us pay for the bills of all the stuff that we do to have fun. Tim, Paul, Stacy, Matt, Aaron, Chris S., Chris H.,
Dan, John B., Ron, Jason, AJ, Radar, and John W. Thank you.
Thank you guys so much. You guys are amazing. And if you guys want to join up, we have 3 tiers available with a bunch of different perks going on at patreon.com/thescenesnobs. You can also join up on the Snobs Nation Discord, which is open. All links for everything is down below, or it's on thescenesnobs.com or our link tree, anywhere you want to go. But join up because we have some great moderators, some great watch parties coming up. I think we're doing the Munsters real soon. And then so make sure to join in for that. And just join the nation, have some fun. Make sure to like this video. Make sure to subscribe to the channel. We have great shows like Geek Fest Live, the Scene Snobs Podcast, which is our flagship show, live every Tuesday night at 9 p.m. Scene Snobs Reviews. Real Combat Season 2 is coming back. We have Plot Roast, which is our Patreon show. And you can check that out. And we have more shows like Does It Suck? And the Scene Snobs Morning Drive live show every Friday morning, live while you drive to work.
And make sure to get yourself draped in the finest Scene Snobs merch and apparel. All this stuff to show how much you love and support your favorite podcast. We love and appreciate you, so make sure you wrap yourself up in one of your Embrace the Absurdity t-shirts, grab yourself that Scene Snobs mug, and throw yourself a thumbs up for being awesome.
Damn right. Make sure to follow us as well on all social media. We're also on Tumblr and Pinterest if you're tickles your fancy, but go check us out at The Scene Snobs everywhere except for TikTok, which is at The Scene Snob, because they won't let me change it. We are having a good time with this. We want to thank you guys so much for joining in. You guys are amazing. And we will talk to you next time. Casey, say goodbye to the people.
Bye, everybody. Be kind to each other.